Busy Friday in New York City. We got a lot to get to. The New York Yankees are officially champions of the American League East, and some are upset that they party too much. The Mets get set for a monumental weekend. The New York Jets try to flex their muscle against the Denver Broncos. But last night at MetLife Stadium, the Giants played football. How are you, Tiki?
I'm good. I was there last night, and I got frustrated pretty early because there were moments that the Giants could have and should have taken advantage of, which they just couldn't do. Now, what I'm about to say is intangible. It's an intangible thing. It's not measurable. There's nothing you're going to find a statistic. You're not going to go search. You're not going to go geek this out and be like, oh, wow, this is why XYZ player is top of the board or middle of the board or bottom of the board or not going to make it or whatever it's going to be. It's just something I feel and I have a sense for. So, and I'll start with personal issues, personal stories. I remember back in 1995 when the University of Virginia played Florida State. It was on a Thursday night. It was back when they didn't do Thursday night football in college. It was a huge deal.
Right.
Especially a huge deal for UVA. Florida State, they're used to being in the spotlight. UVA was on the spotlight, and we knew it. And this was our chance, like our moment to shine and do something. I had a great day. I had 311 all-purpose yards in that game. Our defense stepped up. Percy Ellsworth, who New York Giant fans will remember, had a couple of interceptions in that game. We stopped work done a half an inch from the goal line, and we won that game. The guys elevated on a stage where everybody was watching. Right. The same thing followed me to the NFL. We talked about Monday night game, the Dallas Cowboys, where I had a punt return and a 56-yard catch and run to set them up. The Washington game, you can point to my career. Hell, I can go to Eli's career. Eli's first season against the Cowboys. He hadn't won a game since he started starting until that last game of the season. Meaningless for a lot of reasons, but for Eli, it was prime time, and he made the great drive at the end and got us into the end zone and beat the Cowboys. We subsequently saw him do that over and over and over and over again, most importantly in the postseason. Jeremy Shockey was a gamer. Put him in a game where it mattered, he showed up. Amani Toomer, taking on the undefeated at the time Denver Broncos in 1999. What does he do? Makes humongous catches in the most important moments. The one thing that I have noticed about Daniel Jones is in these moments where it really matters, where everybody is watching, where it's all eyes on you. Show out, dude. Go have your day. He doesn't come through. He misses wide open Darius Slayton's down the sidelines. A lot of this was not, he didn't lose because of him. But there are moments when you have to elevate. Yeah. When the sports world, or your teammates, or your fan base, or your coaching staff is just waiting for you to be that star. And you don't get those opportunities all the time. But if you don't take advantage of them, trust me, they're not going to come. Because you're not going to be the guy. They're going to understand that. And my issue with Daniel Jones is I don't think he's that guy. And again, there's no statistic that's going to tell you this. There's nothing that's going to you can pull out of a record book that's going to show you this. But you know it when you see it. Yeah. There's a feeling that you get. Devin Hester is one of those guys. Super Bowl stage, you're known as a kickoff returner. What are you going to do on the opening kickoff? Oh, take it to the house, right? There are certain guys who you see this over and over and over again, and you know they're stars. Pat Mahomes was this way, right? He did it in college. He did it when he got into the NFL. Andrew Luck was that way at Stanford. He did it when he got to the Indianapolis Colts. Hell, Jaden Daniels was it at LSU. Even though they weren't good, he won the Heisman Trophy. So are we surprised that we're seeing him elevate in moments in the NFL? The answer is no. There is something that Daniel doesn't have. And I hate it because I love the kid. And I want him to be that guy. But it's just not there. And I'm not saying it's terminal for his career, but I'm just telling you, in big games, the Giants are going to have to rely on somebody else to come through and be that guy.
He may not be terminal for his NFL career, but I'll tell you right now, for anyone who agrees with you, it's terminal for his career with the New York Giants.
Maybe.
What are we doing?
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Like, why?
What other option do the Giants have
right now?
He gives the Giants the best chance to win. And by the way, he played pretty good last night.
He was okay, yeah.
But okay is not good enough.
I agree with you.
That's my point. Okay is not good enough. Feel comfortably successful at 72% and 260-something yards. That's not good enough, especially on stages where everybody's evaluating you. And you know it.
Did you feel...
It's one thing when it's like it's a Fugazi evaluation, but when you're on a standalone stage and how you perform is going to be the narrative about you, regardless of what anybody else does, the narrative is going to be about you because you know who gets the blame? The head coach, the coordinator, and the quarterback.
Right.
I don't care what happens in a game. Who gets the blame or the praise?
Sure.
The head coach, the coordinator, or the quarterback. And Daniel Jones hasn't risen to those levels enough. And it's frustrating for us Giant fans because we know he's a good player. I'm not saying he's not a good player. Those people who wanted to get rid of him and say he sucks and blah, 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 they're wrong. He's a good player. But there's an intangible that he doesn't have.
If you can be a good player, and I'm not talking about tomorrow, because you're right, he gives him the best chance to win now. But if you're right that he doesn't have the intangible of stepping up in a big moment, we're wasting our time with him. That's just the reality, because this is a franchise whose expectations, maybe not this season, but overall, is to win championships.
Yeah, I know it is. That's what every team's expectations
So then
are.
What are you doing wasting your time with a guy who can't elevate?
What's the alternative?
Right now, there is no alternative.
Right. He's a good player.
Sure.
Daniel Jones is a very good player. We've seen him at his heights in 2022 when he took him to the postseason and won an important game on in primetime moment against the Minnesota Vikings. Part of that was the Minnesota Vikings failings, but it was also the Giants doing really well in a on the road environment. But there are too many games where it's just good. It's not great. It's not exceptional. It's just good. And good's not good enough.
Good's not good enough. And also, like, watching that game last night, and here's why, as an IFO, I admit that, I would be incredibly frustrated this morning, this afternoon, and last night.
Right.
I'd be incredible because they could have won the game and they should have won the game.
It's interesting because it's like, I'm not mad at anybody. Like, coming off of that game, it's not like I'm pissed off. I'm not going to come up here and scream and yell, you should have done this. Well, the referees, they screwed us, but whatever. It's not like, I'm not mad at anybody.
Right.
There's just this step up, like this ramp up that just doesn't happen.
It's not. I'm not, as a fan, if I was a Giant fan, mad at any individual. I'd be mad that Daniel Jones missed an opportunity on a free play. I'd be mad that Darius Slayton had a huge drop on 3rd and 14. I'd be mad that Wan'Dale Robinson, who overall played well, also had a big drop right before Malik Neighbors couldn't hold on to a ball on 4th down. Like,
that's right.
All of those things would boil together and make me mad and remind me that the New York Giants should have won last night.
Of course.
And they should have.
Of course.
They should have won last night.
When you get those opportunities on the stage like that, standalone Thursday night football, you have to make the play. Because even if it's not fair, it's gonna get weighted more, right? Because it's a primetime stage, everybody's seeing it, everybody's talking about it. It's a rival. Yeah. It's a team that you haven't beaten freaking forever, right? How you perform is going to get weighted heavier than playing an anonymous game against the Cleveland Browns or whatever the opponent may be on a filled Sunday, right? It matters, and I don't think you can't control the negativity that comes from not taking care of business on standalone stages. And I know it's not part of football, but it is part of football.
Sure,
it's part of performing. It's part of showing out when you get a chance to be on center stage. And not enough of these Giants have done that over the years.
I always find this interesting, whether we're talking about a coach or a team you believe in, a team you don't believe in. There's always that moment, that light bulb moment where you say, I believe in this team now. Or this coach sucks, get rid of him. Or was last night a light bulb moment on Daniel Jones in a big spot? Is that what you're saying?
But you know what? I think I knew it already.
Just didn't want to admit it?
I just saw it last night.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? I think I always knew it, but I just saw it last night. And I think more importantly, on a big stage like that, and the way that they played and the efficiency with which they played, but then the falling short once you got to into the red area, I was so conflicted because I actually feel good about the team, but I also all I can say is they're going to be good, but that's it, right? They're going to be good.
I know why you saw it.
They're going to be good.
You know why you saw it last night? Because we all saw it last night.
What's that?
That was the first time in prime time we all as Giant fans could sit back and watch and go, oh, my God, look at this time to throw Daniel Jones has.
No, that's exactly it.
Oh, my God,
This
look
is the
what
first
a number
time in
one.
a long time.
Right, what a number one receiver Malik Neighbors is.
Right.
And anybody who said and they backed Daniel Jones was O-line, number one wide receiver. And last night with it, the stats were there, but the kill shots weren't.
Right.
And that's why it looked
so
different.
nice watching him stand back there unfettered, not having to worry about someone breathing down his neck and knocking him on his ass.
But he
and
wasn't-
getting him hit. I'm just talking about offensive line.
Yeah, no, you guys are right about that.
It was amazing.
You're right.
To see how well they played offensive
And that
line
is
wise.
something that's still very tough to comprehend as a Giant fan. But to defend Daniel just a tiny, tiny bit,
Go ahead.
there were multiple massive drops in this game.
I know, but there were misses too.
I agree. It was on everybody, but it wasn't just.
It wasn't just Daniel Jones, but it could have been Daniel
have
Jones'
been.
chance to be to do it.
If one of those plays hits the Darius Slayton free play,
Yes.
they win the game. I think it's fair to say that. I think they win the game.
Possibly.
It's a very different game.
Right. Very different. It's just, I just realized it last night. I haven't seen him do it consistently. Maybe the Minnesota game.
Yeah, that's the one. And that would be my counter, and I think anybody's counter would be he won a playoff game on the road, and he made plays. Now, he did it, if we really want to be, vindictive or honest, against a horrific defense.
Right.
I mean, but that was the other thing that made last night, in my opinion, so frustrating. The Dallas Cowboys are not any good.
Oh, they're flawed too.
They are incredibly flawed, and I went to bed last night thinking they should have won this game. This team's not that good.
No.
This should have been a giant victory.
They gave up a big play to CeeDee Lamb.
Yes.
Deontay Banks, probably impressed man look. I don't know if it was actually man. It might have been 3, but whatever. A pressed man look. Gets beat. One play.
Yeah.
Forget the first touchdown because that one should have been called back as well. But they gave up one big play defensively.
Yeah,
and the rest of it, they just forced field goals, forced the frustration from the Cowboys, and they were in position to win the game.
Well, I think in the NFL, in the modern NFL, if you allow 20 points and you only allow your opponent to get the end zone twice and a couple of field goals, that should be good enough to win.
Yeah.
But one thing I also know is scoring 15 points ain't going to be good enough.
No.
Settling for field goals all night long is not going to be good enough.
No.
This is a game they should have won. There's a lot of aspects of this game to get into, including our very own Tommy Lugauer, who blames Brian Dable. We'll get to that a little bit later on, and why the New York Giants were unable to run on the Dallas Cowboys. But let's get right to your calls. 888-808-1019. Jesse in Monmouth County. What's up, Jesse?
What's up, Jess?
What's up, guys? Where to start? I realized it last year against Dallas, 40-0. The guy's got no spark. He's got no heart.
Well, no, he does have heart.
Grit.
He works his ass off, and he has heart. It's not that. It's like I'm not going to malign Daniel's work ethic. I'm not going to malign his intelligence. I'm not going to malign his football IQ. It's none of that. This is something that's not measurable by the average viewer of football. It's just it's what you see when a guy needs to make plays.
Yeah.
It's Lamar Jackson, 3rd and 12. You know what? Screw it. I'm
Right.
gone. I'm out. I'm making this backyard football, and I'm better than you. All right? That's it. There's an it that it gets so convoluted when you just say it, but you know what I mean when I say it. You know what I mean?
It's even his pre-snap reads. I mean, he throws to the closest guy to him. He doesn't look down the field. It's just everything about him is just he's not meant for the big moments. The free play. I mean, it seems so half-hearted. You know what I mean? Underthrown. Last week it's overthrown. I mean, I got it. It's going to be.
Is that half-hearted, or is that just not executing in the biggest moment?
It's that. It's not being exceptional in the biggest moment
Right.
in moments, and it's hard to do. But it's
really necessary. If you're going to be a big-time quarterback in the league, don't you have to?
You can be a winning quarterback in the league without it, but you're not going to win games like that without it.
Yeah. You can be a winning quarterback in the league without it, but can you be the ultimate winner in this league without it?
Probably not.
Well, and that's what this is all about.
Right.
Like, I know it feels like an endless search for the right guy, the right quarterback. And even when you find a good one, like Kirk Cousins is a good one, Daniel Jones is a decent one.
Yeah.
If they're not the guy, if they're not enough, then what the hell are we doing?
Yeah. I mean, there's some guys who can rise to the occasion. And sometimes it's just an average quarterback.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Brad Johnson is the perfect example.
No, I think a perfect example, and you may not like this example, but I do think it's a good example. Eli Manning.
100%.
Because his
100%.
regular seasons are good. He's not on the same level as the elite bought in the biggest of moments, and you brought him up to start the show.
100%.
You're right. He elevates.
100%. He knows the moments that matter the most.
Yes.
And he plays his best then.
No doubt.
And if you're in a standalone game, even though it's only week 4, it matters. Especially when you're like the future and the fortunes of your organization are on you.
Yeah.
Right? Do something with it. Because those are real opportunities, and they don't happen all the time. And again, I know we're talking about sport. We're not talking about life. We're not talking about the election in November. We're talking about a sport. But sport has a way to define like life and moments, your career. It's inspirational, like all these things for a fan base, for a town, for whatever. And the Giants are lacking it. Malik Neighbors might have it, but he's a rookie.
He's a rookie.
He's in his 4th game.
And he may have it. He's had 2 massive drops at the end of games.
This is true.
That's just and he's been great. I mean, he got targeted 150 times yesterday.
Right.
He had 1 million catches, over 100 yards. The first rookie wide receiver to get 100 receiving yards against the Cowboys in primetime since Odell a decade ago. But at the end of the day,
right,
on a 4th down with the game on the line, he couldn't hold on to the football.
Yeah.
And hopefully he's okay. He's dealing with concussion-like syndromes right now.
Yeah.
Let's go to Steve in Bloomfield. What's up, Steve?
Hey, guys. Big fan of the show. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it. What's up?
Yeah, so I just wanted to comment. I don't even really think it's like a light bulb moment. I mean, for Jones, it's what you guys have been saying. He's mid. He's average, right? He's not elite, and him missing those balls, those deep shots, that elite quarterbacks make those, right? But I think we're not talking about like the biggest thing to me, because everyone's talking about the drop passes, which are obviously huge. Everyone's talking about the missed deep balls, obviously huge. And you kind of alluded to it, Evan, 1.1 yards per carry.
Right.
I mean, how do you can you win a game like that?
Well, Steve, I'm glad you brought this up because I said this last night to my wife, and she was sleeping, so she never responded. I said it like I was talking into the air. And I'll say it right now to this entire audience at 2:18 on a Friday as an IFO. The New York Giants, in my opinion, you can make a list for all the reasons why they lost this game. A long list. Drops, missed chances by Daniel Jones, coaching decisions. There's a lot of different things you can go to. To me, the number one reason the New York Football Giants lost yesterday is they took on a run defense that has been historically bad to start the year, and they had 23 carries for 26 yards. And that is unbelievable. And when we come back, the future Hall of Fame running back has to explain to me what the hell happened. Because you can't convince me the Cowboys made adjustments in 3 days without a padded practice. We'll try to figure that coming up. Plus, a very respected Giant voice said something fascinating about last night's game that I'm not sure many Giant fans will agree with. But we'll find out coming up next. Plus, more of your calls at 888-808-1019. Yeah.